and he sees now there is the source of his pain and his rage, and he, I think, will definitely take the bait, but in this game we can never say definitely. We have to roll the dice. Well, hello and welcome back once again to Me, Myself, and I. I am, as always, your intrepid GM, host, and player, Trevor Devall. Thanks so much for tuning in, and as always, please do not forget to hit like and subscribe, and if you do want to help support the show on Patreon, the link for that is in the notes below. So, last time, well, we all know what happened, those of us who've been watching. The dragon attacked the elven village and reduced it to ashes, although it's not over yet. The people are still screaming and fleeing and trying to get away. But basically, Arnold, in attempting to break the spell over Faraza, who was the smith that he needs in order to remake the spear of Veslidi, his grandfather, he was trying to help. He was trying to break the circle of iron stones, thinking that maybe the elves would then be able to get inside that circle and do whatever they were going to do, and that would be good, and he'd be able to forge a bond with them. Well, it didn't exactly turn out that way, as he rolled a double zeros, which is the worst possible outcome you can get in this game. And so one of those iron pillars came crashing down on the altar, and we determined very quickly that that altar was in fact protecting the elven village in these lands, which is what allowed Falgulos to find them and attack. So Arn gets back. The entire glade, that beautiful mystical glade, is now on fire. There are fires raging in the trees. There's still the screams of elves, of elven men, women, and children as they scramble desperately to find escape from the roaring inferno that their village in the trees has become. It is the middle of the night, but the sky is alight with the flickering flames of the forest fire and the steady swoop and roar of Falgulos as he makes attack run after attack run. The elven warriors who have managed to pull weapons and firing ineffectively as the arrows go sailing through the night sky, but bounce utterly ineffectually off of the dragon's armor. His scales cannot be pierced by mortal weapon. In fact, there has only been one weapon so far that has ever caused Falgulos any sensation of pain whatsoever, and that, of course, is Ulvatan, Wolf's Tooth, which Arn has in his possession, or the spearhead in any event. Now, Balathu has raced out, accusing Arn. What have you done? What have you done, Arnlander? Arn, filled with guilt at knowing he had something to do with this, but also seeing his opportunity. The focus of his quest is now flying overhead, and although the spear is not yet completed, the spearhead is still very much a weapon in his hand. Arn looks up and he sees the shadow of Falgulos pass overhead one more time, gouting a jet of fire in yet another section of the elven village. At that moment, once again, he hears the sound of whispering, the same whispering he heard last time, and amidst the cacophony of the roars and the screams and the sound of trees erupting into flame and falling over, amidst all of that, he still hears this whispering sound, and he reaches into his pack and he pulls out the spearhead, and there, the spearhead is in front of him. And the spearhead, he knows that whispering is coming from that spearhead once again. Now, the reason why this is important is because Arn had 3 experience points that he has not spent. Well, he is going to spend them now. He is going to spend them on something called Bladebound. Bladebound means once you mark a bond with a kin blade, which is a sentient weapon imbued with the spirit of your ancestor, you may take this asset. Now, you need to mark a bond with the weapon before you can take the asset, says right there. Now, those of you who've been watching from the beginning will know that Arn had a background bond that I had not yet taken. I was waiting for something appropriate to come up. Well, my friends, this is appropriate. Arn is going to mark that free background bond he gets with the spirit of Veslidi, his ancestor, his grandfather or great-grandfather, whatever he was. So he is going to mark that bond right now, so his bonds will go up to 1 full box. And I'm going to make a note as well that his third background bond is with the spirit of Veslidi, which means that he can take that asset. Now, he has a choice. There's one of three things he can take. Originally, I was gonna have him take the middle one, because the middle one is all about listening to the mad whispers of your ancestor within this blade, because Veslidi, whatever part of his spirit still resides within that spearhead, of course, it's gonna be quite mad, because every time you do something with this asset, you have to endure stress, because if you listen to the voice of your ancestor, you have to endure stress. So he was gonna take the middle one, but instead he's gonna take the last one, which is when you strike with your kin blade to inflict savage harm, and you decide before rolling, you add +1 to the roll and inflict +2 harm on a hit. And then you endure stress. So, it's risky, it's dangerous, but at this very moment, Arn has a plan.
Balatu, indeed it was my actions that have brought the beast to your village, even though my actions were only trying to help you. But now, I must take responsibility for them. Help me bring the dragon down to Earth.
Down to Earth? Are you mad?
Aye, Balatu, I may be.
Go! Help me get his attention! And he runs over and stands in sort of the middle of this clearing here while the rest of the elves kind of take cover behind these rocks and trees and such. And he looks up in the sky and he produces Ulvatan. And he waits until the dragon is making its way back over this sort of general area far up, and he shouts, bellowing at the very top of his lungs, top of his voice, as loud as he possibly can, to yell over the cacophony of the battle and the chaos of what's happening here.
Falgulos, see me! I, who you have hunted these years, am here! Come and get me!
And he holds up the spearhead Ulvatan, and far up in the sky, its reptilian eyes scanning the chaos below, looking for fresh targets. I think its eye falls upon Arn here as the beast flies over and sees Arn way down there brandishing a small bit of iron. But to Falgulos, this is no normal piece of iron. This is the only weapon crafted by either man or elf that has ever pierced his scales, has ever caused him something that was utterly unfamiliar to him up until that point. Pain. And he sees it and he remembers. He remembers the battle with Veslidi all those years ago. He remembers being driven off by that spear, the very thing that caused him to hunt down Veslidi and all of his descendants, to wipe them from the face of the earth. And he sees now there is the source of his pain and his rage, and he, I think, will definitely take the bait. But in this game, we can never say definitely. We have to roll the dice. Let's ask the Oracle. I think this is very likely indeed, almost certain, so 11 or more, and it is a yes. Falgulos does not take the bait, and I don't think it's because he doesn't see Arn or he doesn't recognize what this is, but Falgulos is an old dragon and a smart dragon, a cunning beast. He knows what's going on here. That thing wounded him all those years ago, and he is not going to make himself available to be stabbed by this thing again. No. Instead, he climbs higher up into the sky and blasting down jets of flame at another part of the elven village. Arn realizes that the dragon has not taken the bait. He runs over to Balathu.
Take your warriors. Gather them in the clearing. You want me to use my own people as bait? Your people are already lost unless you give me this one chance. I need you to distract him.
Balathu calls his warriors over into the glade, into the clearing. They gather together, and the next time the dragon makes a pass, they all in unison pull back their arrows and fire a volley together. Now that volley of arrows sails up, and they are true. Their aim is true. They find their mark, but of course the arrows just shatter and clatter uselessly off of the dragon's scales as it blasts by them. Meanwhile, Arn goes over to one of the ladders that the elves had used to get down quickly, and he begins to furiously climb up as quickly as he can. What he's trying to do here is he's trying to get himself a vantage point where when that dragon comes in for the kill, he will be able to do something crazy. But in order to do this, he's got to secure an advantage. So he's going to roll plus shadow as he goes up into the tallest tree and he waits. +3, here we go, securing an advantage. 8 is a strong hit. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? I think he's gotta take the momentum. Yeah, he's gonna take the momentum. His momentum goes up to +4, but he's got the strong hit. He is well hit, he is well situated. His bow is not strung. His bow is strapped to his back. Instead, he has brandished Ulvatan, the wolf's tooth, in his hand like a long dagger. And he sits perched in a tall tree, flames beneath him, and he waits as the dragon swings around for another pass and begins to dive in towards perhaps this group of elves who are even now trying to pepper him with arrows. And I think as the dragon flies by, Arn gets a good look underneath him and he can see an old patch in the scales where Veslidi had struck with Ulvatan so many years before. As the dragon comes sweeping in, the fear, the dragon fear, overwhelms Arn, and he must endure stress from this. This is absolutely terrifying. This magnificent, ancient, terrifying beast comes swooping in. He's got to endure stress. Now, this isn't an active thing that Falgulos is doing. Falgulos doesn't even know he's there. So Arn is not going to take 4 stress, which he normally would, because right now Falgulos is considered an extreme enemy, not an epic enemy, simply because Arn does have Ulvatan with him. If he didn't have Ulvatan, it would be a different story, but because he does have Ulvatan, right now Falgulos is an extreme enemy. So he's not going to take 4 stress, but he is going to take 2 stress, which means that his spirit goes down to 1, and he must roll to endure stress from the fear. Just seeing this thing getting too close to him, he's pretty good at this. +4 is going to be 7, so a strong hit on endure stress. You know what? He embraces the darkness. It takes +1 momentum. Does Falgulos take the bait at this group of elves? Does he, in fact, turn his attack onto this rather tasty-looking group of morsels here in the open clearing? Does he do it? Again, I'm gonna say it's, well, I'm gonna make it slightly, I'm gonna say it's likely. So 26 or more, 92, he does. As the dragon swoops in past Arn in the top of the tree, he comes close enough for Arn to leap onto the back of the dragon. Crazy! Oh, this is mad! He is absolutely mad. This isn't actually the beginning of the fight yet. This is still him trying to secure an advantage. This is going to be using edge because this is very much a dexterity thing. Oh, he should be rolling a sanity check like this was Call of Cthulhu. That would make a lot more sense. But alas, it's not. It is plus edge, which is +3, and he rolls. He rolls a 9, which is a strong hit. A strong hit on secure advantage means he leaps, defying, well, logic and reason and beating his fear. He leaps on the back of the dragon as it goes swooping down towards the enemy. Does the dragon even know he's there? Here's what's going to happen. We are now officially going to enter the fray. And because of that strong hit he just got on secure an advantage, I'm going to take +1. This is striking without warning. This is plus shadow, but he's +1 because of that secured advantage. So he is actually going to be rolling at +4. Enter the fray, +4 is going to be 7, which is another strong hit. Okay, he gets a strong hit on Enter the Fray, which means +2 momentum, and you have initiative. His momentum now goes up to 7. He's got initiative. He is on the back of the dragon, clinging onto it with one hand. With the other hand, he's got Ulvatan. The dragon comes roaring in, about to blast this group of elves with fire. So Arn calls upon the spirit of Veslidi in that spearhead, using his brand new blade-bound path, and he's going to do a strike to inflict savage harm, which means he adds +1 to this. He drives Ulvatan deep between the scales on the back of Falgulos. This is at +3. What happens? Okay, 5. Well, it's a weak hit. So he normally does 2 harm, but now because the spirit of Veslidi courses through that spearhead as it drives itself, and once again, after all all these years, after generations, Veslidi, the spirit of Veslidi once again tastes dragon blood. And he begins to whisper maniacally into Arn's mind. This is enduring stress for using Blade Bound. Using heart, right? Oh, but he is also battle scarred, so when he endures stress plus heart, which he's definitely doing here, take +1 momentum on a strong hit. He's going to suffer 1 momentum in exchange for 1 spirit, so his spirit will go up to 2. Because of battle scarred, he'll take +1 momentum, but Arn has driven the spirit doing 4 harm. He loses initiative, however, because Falgulos is suddenly aware that there is something riding on his back, and Falgulos roars in absolute anger and twists around in mid-air, trying to spin and shake Arn off. This is going to be face danger using... He's got to hold on. This has got to be iron. Here we go. Iron +2 is going to be 6. Oh no, okay, well that would be a mess, that would be a bit of price, but his momentum is 7, which means he can cancel that die if he resets back to 2, so his momentum goes back to 2, he burns his momentum, he gets a weak hit on face danger. He succeeds in grabbing onto the dragon as Falgulos is spinning, shaking, desperate to try and shake this stinging insect off of its back. I think this is incredibly stressful. He's going to endure stress. It does prevent the dragon from incinerating this group of elves right there. Balathu looks up and sees Arn on the back of this dragon. He kind of puts his bow down for a second. He's stunned. He's never seen a display of madness like this. Knowing something is on its back, Falgulos spins around with a great leather creak and flap of his wings. He climbs. Arn is hanging on, he's meant to hang on, but does he realize that Falgulos is about to start to ascend? I think he can sort of feel that. Is he gonna jump off now? I think he has to jump off. This is gonna be crazy. This is crazy. He's gonna leap off the dragon's back and grab a tree, hopefully one that isn't on fire. Here we go. It's gonna be 9. Oh my God. Okay, that is a fail. Well, you miss. He's off the back of the dragon. He sees a large pine tree down below. He winds up crashing his head against the side of the trunk. He goes spinning off like a pinball. Boom, 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 between these trees, comes crashing down to earth. He will take harm from this. Instead of going with 2 harm on this, I'm gonna say this is 3 harm, because that's falling a long way. It's bad. So he is gonna go down to 0 health. Which means he must endure harm, then roll plus health or iron, whichever is higher. This is gonna be iron, so this is +2. 7 is a weak hit, you press on, so nothing further done, but boy, he is battered. Falgulos rises up in the air, roaring, bellowing with anger. He now remembers again that feeling of pain, and as he careens his long serpentine neck around to look back down, he sees Arn running up, limping on his main leg, with blood pouring out of his ears and his nose from having had his bell rung completely. He runs up to the group of elves and he stands in the middle of them, and again he holds up Ulvatan as the dragon goes soaring by, and this time he shouts again at the top of his voice, broken as it is, his windpipe bruised and battered from having fallen down through those trees onto the ground. He croaks out a hoarse battle cry, "Falgulos! The wolf's tooth stands ready to bite again!" Falgulos this time. Ooh, he's pissed. There's no need to roll for this. He is going to take the bait. He swings out all the way around, coming down quickly in a dive. Arn looks up. The elves pull their bows back, firing ineffectually as the arrows go soaring up, again glancing pointlessly off of the armor. Elves, do not dive out of the way until I give the word. I'm gonna say 1 to 50, it blasts the group with fire. Otherwise, it's going to specifically go after Arn, and it does. It gouts fire. There's the great inhalation of breath into the dragon's lungs as it comes racing in. At that point, Arn knows what's coming. He shouts, "Now!" The elves scatter out of the way, and everyone leaps out of the way, doing a face danger roll using edge. +3 is going to be a 4. A weak hit. Okay, well, I think what that means is they all dive out of the way, or at least most of them do. 2 of these elves get incinerated immediately by the blast of flame. They didn't dive out quite long enough. They are quite gone. So in terms of what happens with Arn, I think he's going to see the instant immolation of these elves. He's going to endure stress. Here we go, endure stress. He's going to be rolling plus heart, plus 4, which is 5. It's a strong hit. The dragon comes blasting down, having saturated the area in fire. All of these elves have dived out of the way, slamming onto the ground, its massive bulk causing a mini earthquake. Falgulos the dragon has arrived. Arn looks up. Now he's already dealt with the fear of this. He's already jumped on this thing's back, so he's steeled himself against the fear of this thing for now. But still, Arn looks up into the hideous reddish yellow eyes burning with hatred. Falgulos, the beast, looks directly at Arn, saliva dripping from his lower jaws, dripping and sizzling on the snow, melting it instantly. Arn stands there holding up Ulvatan in front of him, like a cross to a vampire kind of thing. Arn looks up at Falgulos, silhouetted by the burning elven village behind him. He knows that this was on him. Arn knows this was his doing, even though it was with good intentions. He is responsible for this, and he knows that he has to make this right. He holds up Ulvatan, and he locks eyes with the dragon. Every ounce of him riddled with fear, but already mastering it, as he already rolled that fear roll before, but still terrifying. He holds up Ulvatan, and he says, "Falgulos, you recognize this, don't you? This is the wolf's tooth," and he holds it up and Falgulos kind of rears back its head a little bit, almost recoiling, but not quite. Falgulos kind of, takes up a slightly different position, sort of pawing around him like a great cat would do. "Flee this place and never return, lest you feel the bite of Ulvatan once more." This is going to be an enter the fray using heart, facing off against his foe with a plus 4. He rolls a 9, which is a strong hit on enter the fray. Take plus 2 momentum, which puts him up to 4, and he has the initiative. And with a cry of courage, the likes of which Arn himself has never displayed before in either season, Arn flips the spearhead like a dagger and goes charging in towards the dragon to try and stab it somewhere. But here's the thing, you don't just waltz up to a dragon. No, because Falgulos is all gnashing teeth and slashing claws and scales undulating over one another as he, like a serpent, like a snake. Arn is gonna have to face danger just to get anywhere near Falgulos. This is gonna be plus edge. If he fails this is gonna hurt. He's gonna roll, oh my goodness, he rolls a 5, a strong hit. He rolls a strong hit on his face danger, which means you are successful, take plus 1 momentum. His momentum goes up to 5. He is able to leap and dodge out of the way, somehow escaping the claws and the fangs, the snapping jaws of Falgulos as he comes in and drives the blade down, once again calling upon the mad whispers coming from the spear, the spirit of Veslidi. But he comes in and he does a strike with iron, and he adds plus 1 because he's using blade bow. This is plus 3. Plus 3 is a 6, which is a strong hit. A strong hit means he does. Bladebound gives you plus 2 harm. That is 5 harm. And he immediately endures 2 stress as Veslidi, the spirit of Veslidi, is whispering in mad triumph in Arn's mind. But first, let's deal with 5 harm. What does that do on the old track for Falgulos? 4.5 boxes. 4.5 boxes. Unbelievable. He drives the blade Ulvatan into Falgulos' tail. Falgulos roars with confusion and pain, and perhaps for the first time in his long life, a lack of certainty. I need to do the endure stress as the mad whisperings of Veslidi burn their way into Arn's head. His spirit is going to go down. Where is it? Blade bound, endure stress. Plus 4 to endure stress is 7. Strong hit. from this strong hit using the savage blow of Bladebound. And because it was a strong hit, he is going to try something absolutely desperate here. He is going to make a roll to end the fight. This is obviously not going to kill the dragon. He's got to get 3s or less. Here we go. This could be really bad, but he got a strong hit and retains the initiative. You have lost this fight. Pay the price. It's not enough. This is Falgulos, and Falgulos, though wounded, is nowhere near ready to be defeated yet. But what's he gonna do? Let's see. How is Arn gonna pay the price? Combat action. What does Falgulos do? Combat action, 63. Leverage the advantage of a weapon or ability. Falgulos breathes on Arn. He will take 4 damage, which means his momentum, because his health is at 0. If your health is at 0, suffer minus momentum equal to any remaining minus health, which means 4 momentum, and then roll plus health or iron, whichever is higher. This is iron. He's got to roll +2 as the flames engulf him. 7 is a strong hit. Choose one. Your health is not greater than 0, so we can't do that, but he can take +1 momentum. He somehow is able to pull Ulvatan out of the flesh of the dragon and dive out of the way, avoiding the majority of the burning flame as he dives out of the way, singed so many parts of his clothing, just completely turned to ash. Well, they've lost this fight. I think Arn, unfortunately, passes out from that heat damage. The pain is too much, and he loses consciousness from it, but the last thing he sees is Falgulos taking wing once again, up into the air. Falgulos makes short work of the rest of the elven defenders. The flames erupt into the night. The sounds of screams are matched only by the roar of triumph of the dragon, as it systematically wipes out every inch of this elven village. It's reveling in its triumph and its victory, but it has also been taught a rather stinging lesson. Something down there has hurt him in a way he has never been hurt before. And as soon as he just finishes destroying the village, he does another pass, looking for Arn to finish him off. Now here's the question. Arn has to wake up in time. He has to wake up in time. If he doesn't, it's curtains. He's gonna face danger. Iron is basically like Constitution, so I'm gonna roll iron, which is not good for him. It's not good for him. Get up, Arn, get up. 5, strong hit, doubles, it is a match. Okay. Arn is able to crawl to safety. Now, what is the good outcome that happens because of this? I'm just gonna roll randomly. 09, defeat, 44, faction, defeat faction. The defeat of a faction, of course, is the dragon. What that means is it's too late to save the village. But by defeating the faction, that means that Falgulos is not only unable to find Arn, and Arn is able to pull himself to safety, but Balathu and the remaining elven warriors are all able to pull themselves to safety. The dragon searches the area for long moments, long minutes, but eventually, wounded as it is, it gives up and flies off to the north, presumably somewhere way north where it can get back to its lair, lick its wounds, and start the long, slow recovery process. But in the meantime, Arn, the 2 elven warriors, and Balathu, burnt, bleeding, wounded, the elves weeping from behind their masks at the loss of their home and the savage murder of their families and their loved ones. The fires burning everywhere out of control in this part of the forest. Balathu says to Arn, I must go back and search for survivors.
Yes, let me help you.
No! Your help has caused this. I name you Arn Haven's Bane, enemy of the elves.
Please, all we have left is each other. Do not abandon me now. Together, we can track down the beast and end it. With this,
pulls out Ulfatan again, still covered in dragon's blood.
Wolf's tooth bit Falgulos this night. I can do it again. But not alone. Let me help you find survivors, and then come with me. Help me take vengeance on this dragon, for both our peoples.
He's got to do a compel here. This is rolling heart, +4. That's a fail. Well, I know what the price is here. He's got to endure stress. He's rolling plus heart. He's pretty good at this. 7 is a strong hit. So he'll embrace the darkness and take +1 momentum. Do not presume to ever cross our paths again intentionally on Haven's Bane. For you have destroyed us. Arn, wounded, spirit broken, almost out of supply, burned, but still in possession of Ulvatan, leaves the flaming ruins of Windhaven behind, having been marked now by the elves, or at least this community of elves, as Arn Haven's Bane. But the good news is I think that he can mark milestones on his main vow, and I think it's going to be 2. One for forging the bond with Vislidi, and the other for actually wounding the dragon and causing a festering, lasting wound that the dragon will have to suffer through. So that's going to be 2 different milestones, I think. The dragon has been driven off, flying even now over the night-soaked forests as it makes its way north to the mountains, to its lair, its ancient lair, there to lick its wounds and recover from the bite of Wolf's Tooth. As for Arn, he turns from the burning ruins and walks off alone into the night to continue this quest alone, save only for the whispers of mad Vislidi coming from Ulvatan. His only companion now, the spirit of his mad grandfather, urging him ever forward to find Falgulos. Finish what you started. Will he? I sure hope so, but we'll have to find out together. Thanks so much for tuning in. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and if you want to help support the show on Patreon, the link is below. And I will see you next time here on Me, Myself,